All right, so those guys took off, which is cool with me. I like being on my own to do this stuff. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name's Cliff. I'm with Hamilton Transportation. Today I am in Central Ohio. Actually just got off of 23 onto 4. We're headed back here to, I think, the middle of nowhere to pick up the first of 2 excavators that I'm supposed to haul today. They are both John Deere 300's. They're both going over to St. Clairsville, Ohio. This one is picking up in Marion, Ohio. We were supposed to call these guys. This is at a job site. We're supposed to call these guys 15 minutes before we showed up to load it and let them know we're coming. So that's what I did. And of course, you know, they don't answer the phone. So I left a voicemail, but nobody responded or texted me or anything to let me know they got it. So I don't know if there's going to be anybody back here or not. I don't know if I need anybody back here to load this thing up. Jen talked to him a little bit ago when they told us to call 15 minutes out, and he said they have to set up crane mats to run the excavator on, I guess. But now they didn't answer, so I guess we'll just see what happens. There's a job site. That's not the GPS coordinates they gave me. But there's an excavator sitting back there. I don't know, I wish these guys would get their stuff together. That's like a mile and a half from the GPS coordinates they gave me, so I don't know. I guess I'll go by the address they gave me. Oh no, I see them. Way back there in the distance, I see some excavators sitting there. That's going to be a tight corner coming out. Well, there are guys back here, so hopefully they're ready for me. So he was talking about that dropping on the road, but I think it'd be better if you guys can see back in there. They have crane mats down, so I think what I'm going to try to do is pull up and back into onto those crane mats there. think that'll be easier to load that way. I can back all the way back past the thing and drop, and then it's just a matter of pulling it up and putting it right on the trailer. And then hopefully I have enough room to get out. I think I'll have enough room if I swing wide. Let's go down here. So first things first, let's figure out how wide this thing is and see if I'm going to need outriggers. It doesn't look as wide as the other ones I've hauled. That would be nice. We're right at 10, 11 and a half. So 11 feet. I wonder what it's at in between the tracks. It's only 6 feet in between the tracks. I don't think we'll need outriggers, which is awesome. So let's get broken down, get the trailer broken down, and then we can get set up and get this thing on. Alright, so those guys took off, which is cool with me. I like being on my own to do this stuff. So we have the trailer dropped, and look, excellent. The drive motors are faced toward the back of the trailer. So now we should be able to pull the truck up to the road, and then we'll pull this up, swing the cab around, and drive it right onto the trailer. So that is the plan. So I wasn't going to run outriggers on this, but looking at it once it's on the trailer, you know, it doesn't look great. There's a lot of track off the side there. So I think I'm going to back this thing up, and I think I'll go ahead and get my outriggers out and put the boards out. Alright, that I like a lot better. We got the boom almost all the way to the back with plenty of clearance. Might want to swing that over this way a little bit, but we're looking good there. So let's swing that. Okay, now we still got plenty of clearance. Now we have that knuckle right over the cross member, which is good. It won't break my board. And still plenty of clearance. Pretty much centered there. I think that looks good. So now I'm going to go get the truck. I'll hook back up to the trailer, and then we will see where our weight is on our tandem and our drives. So Ohio gives you a bunch of weight. They give you 46,000 on your tandem, 60,000 on your tridem. So I'm trying to get as much of the weight to the back as possible. This thing's supposed to be close to 70,000 pounds. So it's close to as much as I can do in Ohio. I mean, we have a few thousand pounds of wiggle room. So, but getting it to the back like that, it'll put a bunch of the weight over the drives and hopefully keep our tandems under 46. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think we'll probably may even end up scooting it back towards the truck a little bit. So in the process of loading this thing, what has happened here is the deck sitting on there has actually pushed that crane mat down a little bit. So when I backed up, my pin here actually got wedged in here. So this is just a little bit too high, even with my suspension dumped. So I'm gonna have to fire this thing up. This down a bit. There we go. Now we got it sitting down there low enough that it'll slide right in there. Now that we have the thing on here, now need to put air to the trailer and air to the truck suspension. So we'll put air to the suspension, I'll let it build air until it's full, and then we'll be able to tell on our gauges. So I have a suspension gauge here, and I have a gauge on the trailer on the Tridem. So based on those gauge pressures, I will be able to tell pretty close what our weight is, within 500 pounds or so, I would say. So I'm gonna get air built up and then we'll take a look at the numbers. All right guys, so you can see there our tandem is at 78, and then back here we have our Tridem is also at, well, that's at like 79. So now I'm going to call back home to Jen. We have a spreadsheet of weights based on gauge pressures, so we'll see where this is and decide if we have to move this thing or if we're good where it is. All right, so talk to Jen. So we don't really have any weights. We have a 78 on the tandem that put us at like 44,000. So we don't really want to move this forward any, because that might put our tandems over. I do have my kingpin set at 17 inches. I don't know how close to over we're going to be on the steer. So, and we don't have anything close to this heavy on the Tridem. So what we are going to do, we are going to max out our permit in Ohio. So that'll be 14.3, 46, and 60 on the Tridem. And then we're going to take it over the closest scale and see where we're at. So that's the plan. So we need to get this thing chained down.
boy, that hurt. Oh. Hey. Hello? Hey.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
just stopped here at a truck stop. I put about 60 gallons of fuel in it. I usually fuel at Flying J. I get a discount and earn a bunch of points from that. But we had to get some fuel, so I put about 60 gallons in it, and then I ran it across the scale. So as you can see, we're under 14 on the steer, which we're allowed up to 14.3. We're at about 43,900 on the drive, and we're 58,620 on the trailer. So this thing is sitting just about perfect. We're at 116,400 pounds, which means that this thing actually weighs probably more like 71,000 pounds, because I'm not full of fuel either. But it's scaled fine. You know, we're completely legal on that, and that will give us a good idea of what our gauge pressures actually mean. So that's a win.
This is the future. Human error. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
Alright, we arrived here at Newman Tractor, so let's get this thing unloaded. All right, guys. We got the first one delivered. So now we can head up and work on getting the second one.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future.